Tennessee Tech head coach Bobby Wilder. The team cut off a narrow loss against FBS foe and rival Middle Tennessee. This week, a second FBS foe, this time the number one ranked team in the country, Georgia. So, Coach, let's just get some thoughts, and then we'll go to some questions about you and your team.
What do you want thoughts of, Middle or Georgia?
Just let's start with Middle performance first.
Yeah, very, very disappointed with the loss. As I emphasized with everybody associated with the program, we need to start to be really disappointed at Tennessee Tech when we lose a football game, regardless of the fact we were 23-point underdogs. We were on the road. We had a 3-hour delay. Starting quarterback went down in the first quarter. iPads never worked. Headsets went out for a while. Pretty much everything that could have gone wrong did, and we stayed focused on the process of winning. We stayed focused on developing a culture of Tennessee Tech football, and then it was 21-5 at the half. It was 21-11 going into the fourth, and with a minute to go, we scored to go up 25-24. Middle had a veteran quarterback. Kid played a lot of football, a lot of respect for him. He took them 75, and they scored to beat us. 16 seconds left, 32-25. So clearly very disappointed with that loss. Even a team we were 23-point underdogs to, we had the opportunity. We gave ourselves the opportunity to win. That good on Middle, or you need something else?
Yeah, let's do that. And just a basic question, just basic thoughts on Georgia, and then we'll go to the questions we have.
My basic thoughts on Georgia are this: there are 5.9 billion people in the world, and there's a tiny percentage of them that can ever say they had the opportunity to play the best in the world at their sport, at their age group, which is what we have the opportunity to do this weekend. This is, in my opinion, I've been doing this for 31 years, so I feel like I have knowledge of what I'm talking about. This is the best football team in the country. They're not only sound in every area, they're excellent. In my opinion, Kirby Smart is the best coach in college football. I truly believe he's the voice of college football right now with Nick Saban retiring. I always feel strongly you need a voice. You need a strong voice that presents himself in a manner that a professional manner that younger coaches can emulate, they can follow, they can listen to. I felt that way about Kirby for a long time. I felt that way when he was the D coordinator for Coach Saban at Alabama. Just his presentation, how he handles himself under pressure. You watch the way he coaches on the sideline. It's very detailed. You watch their sideline. Everything's detailed. Everything's purposeful. Does a really good job with communication with young people, and that's an exceptional football program. If I was being honest, I would tell you that I'm not thrilled to be headed to Athens, Georgia this weekend. So I'll be dishonest and say I'm very excited to be playing a game in Sanford Stadium in front of 93,000.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go to the questions we got here. Chip from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Go ahead. Whatever questions you got, feel free to ask away.
Yeah, Coach, I have so many questions. Starting with, you have a dog in your office. Is that your dog? What's the dog's name?
Yes, the name is Khaleesi. Pop quiz. Does anybody know where the name Khaleesi comes from?
Is that the Dragons thing?
Yes. Does anybody know the name of it? Highest grossing show in history.
Game of Thrones.
Oh!
Hey.
Yep, Khaleesi is so my oldest son.
What kind of dog is
5 years ago? My last year at Old Dominion, right before I got fired, he thought I needed a dog and a puppy of all things. And I said, I got to have an original name. I can't, Rover, whatever. It can't be the same name. So I was a big Game of Thrones fan, and she's female, so she's Khaleesi. She's the mother of dragons. She's Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea. She's the breaker of chains. But yeah, she just went over my DFO. Just took her out of the office so I could give this professional appearance.
What kind of dog is she, real quick?
She's an English plot hound, one of the fastest dogs in the world. And I won't bore you with the whole backstory, but my oldest son, Derek, had rescued a dog that was probably 3 days from dying, was a Belgian Malinois police dog, and had a lot of issues. And he researched the breed, and this breed was best for a dog that had issues. She's just very comforting, loving, and was a big help to Jack, the Belgian, who is to this day one of the all-time great rescue stories ever.
Well, I know there's a lot of people that want to ask you a question on here, so kind of cutting to the chase. I do want to know, like what you did in that interim between Old Dominion and getting this job. Coming back to football. I assume he's coming back for football. I'm not sure what you did right before you came back to Tennessee Tech.
I played so much golf. That was so much fun. I was living the dream. No, in all seriousness, a lot of professional development. I have a lot of really close friends that are head coaches, so a lot of time to develop. I was a private trainer. Awesome. I loved it. High school, middle school kids. I was training about 225 kids, just having a blast doing that. But missed this. Wanted to get back. So I interviewed for a number of jobs, finished second. Probably the 111 my last year killed me, even though I'm 77 and 56 overall. So so grateful to be back. But I was having a lot of fun playing golf.
Did you and this will be my last question here, let it go on to other people, but how long did it take you to see, we got Georgia on the road in week 2?
When I interviewed for the job, it was, and I'll cut this short, it's a long story, but that was a major conversation with the president and the athletic director. Was the scheduling model. As you guys know, a lot of FCS schools have been taking it in the teeth the first couple of weekends to pay bills. Truthfully, that's what this is about. It's about paying bills in the athletic department. I think I could be wrong on this number. Maybe the guys that are going to ask me will know better. I think Georgia's collective is 20 million. Our athletic department budget is 17 million. That's the gap now. The gap between P4 and even G5. Look at the scores the past 2 weeks. Look at the gap. Oklahoma 51, Temple 3. That's G5 and P4. Now look at the gap with the FCS. So, and I'll do credit to those schools and for those kids. I'm so excited the kids are receiving additional stipend and compensation. It's awesome. I love it. Correct me if I'm wrong. The SEC's got a $65 million TV deal this year. There's a lot of money there. I'm happy for the kids. But the gap it's created from the time I started coaching 31 years ago to now is insurmountable, the level of gap. And we're playing these games to pay bills. It's unfortunate, and we're working to change that scheduling model here at Tennessee Tech.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Does anybody else have other questions? If not, if you have something else, Chip, you can ask away.
Oh yeah, we could definitely do this. You said you lost your starting quarterback in the last game. Great game, by the way. Certainly had Derek Mason sweating it there a little bit, a guy that Kirby has all kinds of respect for. But you lost your quarterback. So are you coming down here without your starting quarterback? And I did notice your roster looked like a lot of kids from Georgia. Looks like this is an area you guys recruit a good bit, Atlanta and all.
Yeah, we did. We lost our starting quarterback in the game. He's actually in Nashville as we speak, having surgery. No timetable on the extent of it. It was an unfortunate circumstance that happened in the game. The backup quarterback, Jordan Potts, came in and played well. He's a young man that played last year for the previous head coach, Dwayne Alexander, as a true freshman towards the end of the year. So he has some game experience, but very unfortunate losing Dylan Leibel, a young man that got here in January, transferred from Missouri, just worked his tail off for 10 months, and unfortunate part of our game.
And then, obviously there's so many disparities. You talked about the money, but I mean, Georgia has a tackle, a freshman tackle that played in the game that's 6'10", 370 pounds. I assume your defensive linemen, the ones I saw, are tend to be closer to 6 feet and 250 and 260. You don't want to get anybody hurt. I mean, what's the general approach to this? I'm sure you'd love to shock the world. It might be one of the biggest shocks ever. But just what's your philosophy on that part of the game?
Well, I coached in 10 of these games when I was at Old Dominion, and your approach coming in is your goal is to play play Tennessee Tech football. That has to be the goal. The number one goal is to play Tennessee Tech football. It's clear to everybody this is superior opponent. It's the number one team in the nation for a reason. They should be. We have to play Tennessee Tech football, play as hard as we can for 60 minutes, and learn, grow, continue to develop. Remember, this is only our second game of this new era of Tennessee Tech football. So the most important thing to me is the growth and development of the football team.
If there's nobody else, Kyle, I guess.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure you watched the Clemson game and have broken it down since then. Just your first impressions of Georgia 2024.
Yeah, it's a typical Kirby Smart football team. They play smart. They play really sound field position. Everything Coach Smart does is always prepping himself to improve throughout the season. And what I mean by that is when you play sound, detail football, you're allowing your team to improve throughout the season. And that's what you always get from a Coach Smart football team. They're not going to beat themselves. They're not going to make poor decisions with field position. Their players are very adept at where are the chains. They're very adept at down and distance. Their special teams are very detailed in terms of being field position oriented, which is championship caliber football when you play that way. And then all their players know they're accountable for performance play by play, because the backup one at Georgia sometimes is just as good as the one. So the players know that. And then the big thing I've always been impressed with a Kirby Smart team is you watch their sideline. When you watch their sideline during a game, everybody has a job. I don't care if it's the assistant coaches. I don't care if it's the trainer, strength coaches, video, ball boys. Everybody has a very detailed, organized role plan that they follow. And I have a similar model here. And what you find is the players see that. They see it. They appreciate it. They appreciate the way the game is played. They played the game the same way when it was 0-0 as when they were up 34-3. Coach Smart and his staff coaches the same way. And that's the level of detail that we're working to get at here at Tennessee Tech. And that's what impresses me the most about Coach Smart. All the years I've been watching him, from the time he was a coordinator, now a head coach, that's the job that he does. And he sets a really good tone for all the other college football coaches.
Did I see you have some BC ties?
I did. Yeah. I worked for Jack Bicknell in 88 and 89 as a graduate assistant.
That was a pretty good game they played this weekend down in Tallahassee.
Yeah, they sure did. That you see Bill O'Brien. He's smart, detailed. Those kids. I watched that game last night. Just the way they play field position, quarterback smart, everything they do. Yeah, that was a lot of fun being a graduate assistant for Jack Bicknell. It's one of my all-time favorite coaches. This was post Flutie era. It was about 3 years after Doug Flutie and the Miracle in Miami. That you and I are dating ourselves right now.
Yeah,
some people listening weren't even a twinkle in their mother's eye.
Yeah, well, I saw that, and obviously I watched the game last night. So I really appreciate your time. I always I enjoy these games, particularly for you guys who come in, and it's a tough row to hoe or whatever you want to call it, but it's necessary. Kirby talks about it too. He wants to play these games. He wants to stroke that check, because he says it's important that people play football wherever it is. You got to keep the game alive. And so I don't know how. I'll have to go back and check and see what the check is y'all are getting, but I'd imagine it's going to represent a pretty good piece of your budget for the year.
Oh, it's certainly, from that standpoint, there's no question. Coach Smart's right. That certainly helps when you look at, particularly when you're looking at FCS programs that don't draw 93,000 people at $50 a ticket and have a $5 million gate every game. Our team led the league in attendance last year, drawing about 8,000 people. That's more along the lines of what you see at FCS football. So the financial part of it certainly helps. At this level, it's critical. The fundraising piece is critical. You have to do those things as as an FCS coach to help yourself in those regard. The biggest issue right now is, unlike when I first started coaching, you didn't have the portal. Players generally went somewhere and redshirted and stayed 5 years. Most of your leagues were regional. For example, when I was playing at the University of Maine, that was a bus league. We played regional teams. The original Ohio Valley Conference that Tennessee Tech belonged to, that was regional. Even look at the Southeastern Conference. It was more regional in the past. So now with the expansion of these leagues, with the trips you got to make, we got to play Western Illinois this year. That's a 10-hour bus ride. A lot of these leagues have changed and split. So it's even more relevant in situations for the athletic department to play these games.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Coach, thank you for your time this morning. Best of luck this weekend, and we'll talk to you again next week.
All right, my pleasure, guys. Have a great day.